There's something powerful about silence. It can be cold, distant, and calculated. But there's another kind of silence, the one filled with meaning, with emotion trying to hide behind indifference. That's the kind of silence you feel from her. She acts like she doesn't care, like she's detached, like your presence or absence doesn't move her. But when someone pretends not to care, it's rarely about apathy. It's about protection. It's about someone trying to hide how much they actually feel. Because sometimes caring too much becomes exhausting, especially when caring has led to pain before. When she acts indifferent, it's not because she has no emotion left. It's because she's tired of showing emotion that isn't reciprocated. So she covers it with calmness. She shields it with detachment. You might look at her and think she's moved on, that she's unbothered by your words or your actions. But pay attention to the small things. She notices everything. She remembers what you said last week, even though she didn't respond the way you expected. She remembers your favorite song, even though she pretends not to. She hears the change in your tone when something's wrong, even though she doesn't ask. Because indifference doesn't notice, but care disguised as indifference watches everything closely. She might scroll past your posts, pretending they don't matter, but something in her lingers there for a second longer. She might not reply to your message right away, but she reads it the moment it appears. She tells herself she's being strong, that she doesn't need to care, but her heart still races when your name lights up her screen. That's the contradiction of someone who's pretending not to care. They're fighting a battle between wanting to protect themselves and wanting to be seen. You see, her attention gives her away. You can hear it in the questions she asks without realizing she's asking them. She might casually mention something you said days ago, not understanding that her memory just betrayed her indifference. She notices the smallest changes, the way you dress, the tone of your laughter, the time you choose to reply. And though she may never say it outright, her mind keeps tabs on everything connected to you. She's curious, but she hides her curiosity behind a mask of cool disinterest. It's not easy for her to open up. Somewhere along the line, she learned that caring too openly invites disappointment. Maybe she cared once, gave her best, and it wasn't enough. Maybe she showed emotion and it was misunderstood. So now she's built a habit of acting unbothered, of controlling her reactions, of pretending that nothing you do affects her. But it does, it affects her deeply. She just refuses to give you the satisfaction of knowing it. Her restraint isn't lack of feeling, it's self-discipline born out of experience. Sometimes pretending not to care is a form of emotional armor. When she sits across from you, keeping her tone neutral, her body language calm, it's not detachment, it's caution. It's her trying to read whether she can trust you with what's underneath. Because if she lets you see how much she notices, how much she thinks, how much she feels, she's afraid it might make her look weak. And she's not weak. She's strong enough to silence her heart when it screams for attention. She's strong enough to smile when she wants to ask why things change. She's strong enough to act like she's fine when she's still trying to figure out why she even cares so much. Indifference has layers. There's the kind that comes from truly not caring, and there's the kind that comes from caring too much and not knowing what to do with it. She exists in the second one. Her calmness is intentional. Her distance is calculated. She's not trying to hurt you by acting cold. She's trying to protect her peace. Because if she lets herself show it, if she lets herself care again, she knows how much it might cost her. So she pretends not to care, but her eyes betray her. They follow you when she thinks you're not looking. Her body stiffens slightly when you talk about someone else. She looks away to hide the flicker of jealousy she didn't plan to feel. Every detail, every glance, every small act of hesitation, it all reveals what she's trying so hard to hide. The truth is, pretending not to care requires effort. Real indifference is effortless. The more someone tries to prove they don't care, the more it shows that they actually do. She might not express it through words, but emotions have a way of leaking through behavior. Maybe it's in the way she listens carefully when others talk about you. Maybe it's in the way she subtly mirrors your tone or uses the same phrases you do. Maybe it's in the way she remembers birthdays, small preferences, or things you once said in passing. All those tiny details paint a picture she's trying to erase but can't. Because when someone truly doesn't care, those things fade away. But when she pretends not to care, those memories stay alive, carefully hidden beneath her surface. Her indifference is a shield, not a truth. Behind it, she's hoping you'll notice the contradiction, the way her actions and her attitude don't quite align. Because sometimes, when someone pretends not to care, they're silently waiting for someone to care enough to see through it. There's a special kind of confusion that comes when someone pulls away but never really leaves. She says she needs space, that she's fine, that she's just busy, and yet she never drifts completely out of sight. You still see traces of her everywhere. In the quiet likes, the subtle comments, the small ways she makes her presence known without fully being there. It's a strange in between where she distances herself just enough to protect her heart, but stays close enough to keep yours from forgetting. This is what happens when someone pretends not to care, but deep down they do. The space isn't rejection, it's protection. When she creates distance, it's rarely about disinterest. It's about fear of being too available, fear of showing too much, fear of caring more than you do. Because caring too much has hurt her before. So now she plays this delicate game of emotional hide and seek. She steps back, but not out. She'll leave your message on read, but still view your stories the moment they're posted. She'll ignore your call, but her heart will race when her phone lights up with your name. It's not that she doesn't care, it's that she cares too deeply and doesn't know if it's safe to show it. You might notice that she starts to withdraw just when things feel closer, more intimate. That's not coincidence. The moment she feels emotionally exposed, she starts to retreat. Not because she doesn't want connection, but because she's afraid of losing it. Distance becomes her way of regaining control. She tells herself that if she steps away first, she won't be the one left behind. She convinces herself that being distant is strength, when in reality, it's self-preservation. Yet even as she steps back, she leaves a door open, a small, invisible doorway that keeps you connected. Maybe she'll send a random message after days of silence, something small like a meme, a song, or a comment that doesn't mean much on the surface but speaks volumes underneath. That's her way of saying, I still care, without saying it. She might not start the deep conversations anymore, but she'll always give you just enough of her presence to remind you she's still around. It's her way of staying close without admitting she wants to. When she pretends not to care, she does it with intention. She believes that distance will help her test your effort. Will you reach out when she doesn't? Will you notice when she fades? Will you bridge the silence? To her, distance is a question disguised as space. It's her way of asking, do I matter enough for you to come closer? And even if she doesn't admit it, every moment you let the silence grow feels like proof that maybe she cared more than she should have. Her mind battles her heart constantly. One part of her wants to call, to show up, to ask how you're doing. The other part whispers, don't. Let them come to you. She listens to that whisper because it feels safer to hold back than to risk feeling unwanted. So she keeps her distance, but not her attention. She still checks your online status, still wonders where you've been, still notices when something feels off. She's not gone. She's just hiding her care behind walls built from hesitation. If you pay close attention, you'll see the pattern. When she's quiet, she's observing. When she's distant, she's protecting. And when she disappears a little, it's often because she's trying to convince herself she can live without the connection that means too much. Yet, every time she steps away, something pulls her back. Because the truth is, she doesn't want to be gone. She just wants to know she's wanted. There's a quiet tenderness in the way she stays within reach. Maybe she comments on something unrelated just to see if you'll respond. Maybe she watches from the sidelines, not saying a word, but being there nonetheless. That's the thing about emotional distance. It's not about the miles or the messages. It's about the hesitation between the lines, the push and pull of wanting closeness, but fearing what it might cost. She's not trying to play games. She's trying to protect her heart in a world that has taught her that care can be used against her. Sometimes she'll even convince herself she doesn't care anymore. She'll tell her friends she's over it. She'll fill her days with distractions. She'll act like she's moved on. But late at night, when her guard is down and the world goes quiet, her thoughts return to you. That's when the truth surfaces. The distance isn't indifference. It's longing wearing armor. She wants to reach out but doesn't want to seem weak. She wants to care but doesn't want to be the only one who does. So she lingers in that space between staying and leaving, hoping somehow you'll notice the effort she's making just to keep her feelings in check. When someone truly doesn't care, they walk away without looking back. But when she pretends not to care, she walks away slowly, glancing over her shoulder to see if you'll stop her. Her distance is never final. It's her quiet way of asking, do you feel my absence the way I feel yours? Because sometimes the ones who pull away the most are the ones who are holding on the tightest. There's something about energy. It tells the truth even when words are carefully chosen to hide it. You can hear her say, I don't care. And for a moment, you might believe her. The tone sounds casual, the expression neutral, the body language composed. But if you look closer, if you listen beyond the words, you'll feel something different. Her energy hums with tension. Her eyes shift for a second too long. Her voice carries a softness she tries to suppress. Because the truth is, words can lie, but energy doesn't. Her energy always gives her away. When she says, I don't care, she's not declaring peace, she's declaring defense. It's the easiest line to hide behind when you don't want someone to know they've gotten under your skin. She's built that phrase like a wall, layering it over bruises she doesn't want to expose. Every syllable is protection, not truth, because deep down she feels too much. She feels the sting of your silence, the shift in your tone, the way you seem a little more distant. But instead of admitting that, she shrugs it off with that familiar line. She wants to sound unaffected. But her energy vibrates with emotion that refuses to stay hidden. You see it in her timing. When she really didn't care, she wouldn't reply at all. But she does, maybe late, maybe short, but still with effort. You see it in the way she reads your messages multiple times, as if searching between the lines for meaning. Her energy leaks through the spaces her words can't fill. She tells you she's fine, but something in her pauses before sending the message. That hesitation is the truth. The moment her heart argues with her pride, her energy is loud in silence. When she's around you, she tries to stay composed, but her body betrays her, leaning in slightly when you talk, stealing glances when she thinks you won't notice, softening her voice when she says your name. It's the kind of presence that says, "I'm over it," while everything inside her whispers, "I'm not." She'll roll her eyes at something you do, but she'll remember it later. She'll tease you about something small, but the smile that follows isn't mockery. It's affection she's too afraid to show plainly. Even in disagreement, her energy gives her away. When she's angry, it's not the kind of anger that comes from disinterest. It's frustration born from caring. She gets upset because she expected something, because she wanted to feel seen, because your actions mattered enough to affect her mood. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't argue, she wouldn't overthink, she wouldn't react. But she does. She reacts deeply and then regrets it, trying to mask it behind calmness. That's the dance between emotion and self-control she keeps repeating, feeling everything, showing nothing. Sometimes she'll even overcompensate. She'll go out of her way to act carefree, to laugh louder, to appear unbothered when your name comes up. She'll talk about how she's moved on, how she doesn't think about it anymore, but there's always a slight crack in the delivery. It's the tiny pause before she changes the subject, the shift in her eyes when she thinks no one's watching. Her energy betrays her every time because it carries the weight of feeling she's trying to bury under her words. When someone pretends not to care, their energy becomes the messenger of their truth. It's subtle but undeniable. The way she lingers a bit longer in a conversation she claims she doesn't want to have. The way she remembers things she pretends not to notice. The way she stays quiet when she could easily walk away. Her energy speaks in actions, not in statements. It tells you, "I'm still here. I'm still connected. I still care." What makes her contradiction so human is that she's not lying out of malice. She's lying out of fear. Fear of being too much, fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability. She's seen what happens when she opens her heart too freely. So now she measures her emotions, tucks them behind phrases that sound safe. "I don't care" becomes her armor. But inside, the truth moves like light under a closed door, impossible to contain completely. There's an ache in pretending. She feels it when she laughs, but her chest feels heavy. She feels it when she tries to act indifferent, but checks her phone anyway. Her energy carries that ache. It's in her sighs, her pauses, the way her words sound strong, but her energy sounds tired, because holding back emotions takes strength, but it also takes tolls. And every time she says she doesn't care, a part of her knows she's trying to convince herself as much as she's trying to convince you. Her energy tells the story her words can't. It's the quiet contradiction between what she says and what she feels. You can sense it when you're near her. The pull, the tension, the warmth she tries to mute. She might not say a word, but her presence speaks louder than any confession could. Because even in her silence, even in her distance, even in her "I don't care," something about her energy still leans in your direction. When she pretends not to care, her silence becomes a test. Not out of manipulation, but out of self-preservation. She's not waiting for your words, she's watching your actions. Because words are easy to offer, but hard to prove, and she's learned that the people who talk the most about care often show it the least. So now, she studies you quietly. She observes how you respond when she withdraws, how you handle her absence, how consistent you remain when she's no longer feeding the connection. She wants to know if your effort depends on her attention or if your interest stands on its own. When she steps back, it's not because she's lost interest. It's because she's protecting it. She wants to see if you'll notice the shift, if you'll feel her silence, if you'll move toward her without being pulled. Her distance is her way of asking the question she can't voice. Will you still care when I stop making it easy for you? And in those quiet moments, she pays attention to everything. The delay in your responses, the change in your tone, the way your eyes look at her when you think she isn't watching. She's not trying to catch you, she's trying to understand you. Because what you do when she goes quiet says more than what you say when she's listening. There's something raw about the way she observes. It's cautious, but it's sincere. She's not testing you to play games, she's testing your stability. She wants to know if you're safe, safe enough to trust, safe enough to open up to, safe enough to care about without regret. Because in her world, vulnerability doesn't come freely anymore. She's given her care to people who mishandled it, who said all the right things but vanished when things got real. So now she watches before she believes. She listens before she invests. She observes before she trusts. When you speak, she doesn't just hear your words. She reads your pauses, your tone, your body language. She notices if your eyes stay soft when you're frustrated. She notices if you remember the small details she once shared. She notices if you reach out when she's distant or if you wait for her to bridge the silence. Every little moment becomes information to her, pieces of a puzzle she's trying to complete in her head. She's not trying to judge you. She's trying to figure out if your care runs as deep as hers. Sometimes she'll create small moments of uncertainty just to see how you'll respond. Not to play with your emotions, but to protect her own. If she pulls away slightly, will you chase her or let her fade? If she stops texting first, will you notice or move on? These are the quiet questions she asks without words. Because if you don't notice her withdrawal, she tells herself that her presence never mattered as much as she thought. And if you do notice, if you show up even when she's silent, she feels something shift inside her, something like relief, something like trust. Her observation isn't cold. It's full of feeling. She watches because she cares, because she wants to believe that this time it's different, that this time her care won't go unnoticed or unreciprocated. But she's learned to hide her hope behind composure. She'll smile when you speak, nod when you reassure her. But deep down, she's studying whether your consistency matches your promises. She's seen charm before. She's heard words that sounded beautiful but carried no weight. Now she's looking for evidence, not in what you say, but in how you stay. Even when she acts indifferent, her heart is tuned to your behavior. If you walk away easily, she'll take it as confirmation that distance was necessary. If you fight to stay, she'll soften even if she doesn't show it right away. Her reactions are quiet but powerful. A slight change in her tone, a longer reply, a softer look. Those are her ways of saying she's beginning to trust again. But she'll never tell you outright. She needs to see consistency over time, proof that your care isn't just temporary affection disguised as interest. Sometimes it's not even about big gestures. It's about the small moments she watches closely, the way you respond when she's not at her best, the way you handle silence, the way you react when things don't go your way. Because real care isn't about convenience, it's about presence. And that's what she's looking for, presence that doesn't fade when things get quiet. She's mastered the art of watching without appearing to. You might think she's detached, that she's moved on. But she's taking mental notes, quietly recording how you handle the moments that matter most. She's not trying to trap you. She's trying to protect the part of her that still believes in connection. Because when someone has been let down by words too many times, they start listening to behavior instead. Every pause, every silence, every shift in energy tells her something. She watches how you react to her absence because she wants to see if you still care when she stops making it obvious that she does. She wants to know if your effort is real or if it depends on her attention. She wants to know if you notice the small ways she still shows up, even when she's pretending not to. And though she'll never say it aloud, every part of her is hoping you'll prove her wrong, that this time her distance won't be met with indifference, but with understanding.